All right, so this is GRE Quantitative, and this is the first section of GRE Quantitative. It has 30 questions and 30 minutes to solve those 30 questions. Okay, I'll go through the instructions first, I'll read it out, and then I'll move on to the questions. We'll solve, I guess, 6 questions in this video. Right? Okay, numbers. All numbers that are used in this section are real numbers. Figures, position of points, angles, regions, etc. can be assumed to be in the order shown, and angles measures can be assumed to be positive. Lines shown as straight can be assumed to be straight. Figures can be assumed to lie in a plane unless otherwise indicated. Figures that accompany questions are intended to provide information useful in answering the questions. However, unless a note states that a figure is drawn to scale, you should solve these problems not by estimating sizes, right? So it's very important that you do not take this thing. The figures that are here or in this section are according to scale until and unless it is mentioned, right? Okay, directions. Each of the questions 1 till 15 consist of 2 quantities, one in column A and one in column B. Okay, you are to compare the 2 quantities and choose. So A would be if the quantity in column A is greater, B would be if the quantity in column B is greater, C would be if the 2 quantities are equal, and D would be if the relationship cannot be determined from the information that is provided, right? Since there are only 4 choices, never mark E. This is because of the reason that you may have to fill it on the bubble sheet. So this is how the bubble sheet looks like: A, B, C, D, E, right? Because there are only 4 options in this section, you do not have to select E at any time, right? Because that can never be the answer. Okay, common information. In a question, there may be additional information centered above the 2 columns that concerns one or both of the quantities to be compared. A symbol that appears in both columns represents the same thing in column A as it does in column B. Okay, so these are some of the examples that are given here. This is column A, this is column B, and you have to select the answers. Okay, for the answers, A means this thing, B means this, C and D, what it means is given right here. And there are multiple questions that are given, and you have to select the column or fill the column at the answer very carefully. It should be properly filled. Okay, as we have to solve the first 6 questions, let's begin. 3 raised to the power 4 means that we have to multiply 3 by itself 4 times, right? And 4 raised to the power 3 means that we have to multiply 4 by itself 4 times. When we'll do this and we'll figure out the answer, we'll figure out that this is greater. So if we know that the quantity in column A is greater, we can select A, right? Because A means the quantity in column A is greater, and we think that that is the answer, right? So we'll fill out A. Okay, then we have 2 equations. X is equal to 2y plus 3. Okay, and we have to figure out the value of x because that is something that we are comparing it with. Okay, y is given, that is -2. Let's plug in the value of y. So instead of y, I'll write -2 plus 3, right? So -2 and 2 will be -4, and plus 3 as it is, that would be -1. So x is -1. And so both the columns are exactly the same. I'll write C is the answer, right? Because you see, C represents if the 2 quantities are equal, then we have to select C. Okay, now D is equal to 5.03894, and D in a square is the decimal expression for D rounded to the nearest thousand. So if I round off this D to the nearest thousand, I'll get something of that sort. So this will be having 2 digits less, right? The question says the number of decimal places where D and D dash differ. So that is 2, whereas the other option is 4, right? If we compare these two things, we have 2 digits less in this one as compared to this one, right? So this is 2 and this is 4. I'll say B is greater, right? And to represent B is greater, we'll select B as the answer. Okay. We have an inequality x plus 2y is greater than 8, right? And we have to find out the value of, from this expression, we have to find out the value of 2x plus 4y. You can see if I multiply 2 on both the sides, I'll get the exact same equation, right? So what I'm doing is multiplying 2 on both the sides. That will give me 2. And in the parentheses, we have x plus 2y. On the other side, I'll have 16, right? So 2x plus 4y is greater than 16. So if it is greater than 16, this thing is greater than 16 and 20. So in this case, we can say that A is greater or B is greater, or we can say that the answer is D, because we cannot figure out what exactly is the answer from this thing, because you say it has the inequality 2x plus 4y is greater than 16, and if it is greater than 16 it can be anything, right? So for this thing we'll have D as the answer. That it is not able to be proved or determined from the information that is given. Okay, square MNPQ has area 36. If this has an area 36, we know that the square has all sides equal. So I can say that this side, this side, this side, and this side are 6, right? Because this is an isosceles triangle, you can see all the angles are equal, so the sides is also supposed to be equal. I can assume that this is also 6, this leg of the triangle, and this leg of the triangle is also 6, right? Okay, the perimeter of the pentagon MNOPQ. If I have to find out the perimeter, I have to see this side, or take the sum of all the sides that are there of the pentagon. Do not add this one. It's not in the pentagon, right? It's not the side of the pentagon. You just have to add 6, 6, 6, 6, and 6, which is, I can say, 6 times 5, which is 30, right? The other option is also 30, so I can say that C is the answer to this one, because C says that both the quantities are equal, and they are indeed equal, right? C is 30, the A column is 30 and the B column is also 30. So the two quantities are indeed equal. Okay, P and Q are different prime numbers. R is the least prime number greater than P, right? And S is the least prime number greater than Q. So now if we plug in the values of different prime numbers, we can figure out that it is unable to answer this question with just the information that is given here, right? Because in some cases you'll have the first value greater, in some cases you'll have the other value greater, in some cases you may have both the values equal. So in that case what happens is that you have to select D, because you think, or it is the case, that the information that is provided is not enough to answer the question, right? This is what you can do by putting or plugging in different values for the prime numbers.